Hello and welcome to another live stream. My name's Shane Olson, and today we're going to be sculpting this really fun looking vampire. I don't know where the concept came from, but there we go. I don't know if it's AI or there's a signature right here, so I don't know if it's real or not or what. It's really hard to tell anymore. But all right, let's get to it. Hey Neil, is it working okay? Sound good? Need to find some music. Okay, what should we listen to today? Sure. I don't think you guys can hear. Hey Simon, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead and drag this down. Monster Mash. I haven't heard that for a while. Hey, hey, welcome, welcome. Isn't this a fun sculpt or fun design? His cranium is so small. And he's got this really long face. Why the long face? I can't tell. Oh, that's probably why, because the mesh is so dense. I really like using voxel remesh in Nomad. It's so good. See how it makes quads. It reminds me a lot of the hey, what's up, Jonathan? It reminds me a lot of the way Blender's quad remesher works. It ends with these little kind of rings or U-shaped quads, but it's all quads. There's no triangles in here. Hold on one second. Let me put this to silent. Okay. Yeah, I did a Nomad workshop not too long ago, and I just made it available to purchase the recording of it. It's 3.5 hours of content, and it comes with my custom brushes. You can see these brushes over here. I've been working on those for a while. Okay. You'll see me use them here. Let's see. I want to get the neck in there. Let's go ahead and do add. You guys hear that bird chirping out my window? Chirpy birdie. I'm gonna delete the upper. I'm trying to get into VTuber models. Crazy, right? I'm starting by making a Kuromi model for a friend of mine. That sounds awesome, Daniel. Very cool. Yeah, YouTuber or VTuber models are fun. One of my mentor students got into that. I think she does okay with it. I don't know if she's working on any now, but she's done a few in the past and they turned out really great. Okay. Just trying to get this neck going. I've never really set one up. It sounds fascinating to me because I used to be into mocap, you know, when I would do some mocap for games back when I was working at Glyphics. Okay, let's remesh that. If I can make a model for Phase Connect. What is Phase Connect? Thanks, Neil. This is kind of hard to read with this right here. Let me show you the full concept. I don't want to model too much of his body, but he's got that Dracula cape going on. So, and he's got these weird highlights on his suit that I don't understand too much. This is what the full concept looks like. Oh, come on. Come on. I grab right there. There we go. I don't know why it came in so wide. Yeah, I think these are his sharp shoulders. Oh, I get it. Okay. It's like a fur-lined coat, and this is the fur. I wasn't picking up on that. Okay, I got it now. All right. They do 3D hologram concerts. Oh, okay, like gorillas and stuff. VTuber company. Okay, nice. Going to FaceCon this weekend where I'll see them in action. How cool. Yeah, the closest thing I've really seen, not in person, is that concert Madonna did with the Gorillas a long time ago. And she was on stage with holograms, and it was pretty convincing. Okay, so let's get a couple more pieces in here. That's pretty cool. I wouldn't know the first thing as far as how to do that. Sounds awesome. Yeah. I've only ever done a VTuber model in VC face. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard about that. VC. That's familiar. I guess Blender's pretty good for setting that stuff up. You could do the blend shapes in Nomad or ZBrush, but as far as the setup, I think yeah, I think you can rig it and everything in Blender. Imagine like a VR chat. Yeah, I've watched some VR YouTubers. In fact, my friend Ashley, if you guys know who she is, she might even show up today. She has kind of a, it's like a 2D image that is animated. So it's not really a VTuber, but it is a kind of a slideshow animation sort of thing. Hey, what's up, Tristan? How are you doing, man? Do you think it might have been AR, but on a bigger scale? Maybe. It's probably what is that? What do they call that trick in the haunted house? Something ghost, where it's like done with mirrors and stuff. I think that's how it's done. VTuber's a little bit different. It's not it's not really a hologram. It's just like an animated 3D thing. Hold on one second. I'm waiting for an email, so I gotta see what that is. Nothing. Okay. Nothing. All right. Pepper's Ghost. There you go. Thanks. Yeah, so that, and they use a bunch of mirrors and things to pull it off. It's pretty good. Okay. In Nomad you can also do a what's called a silhouette. I thought I put it down. Maybe I didn't. I thought I had it down on my interface. Oh, there it is, right there. See this silhouette button right here? You turn that on, and you can also change the fall off of the brush. So go to fall off, and it has presets. And if you pick one of these sharper presets, it's kind of like choosing AccuCurve in ZBrush, where you can pull it out sharp like this. And then we'll just kind of put it back to what it was. Here, let's reset it. There we go. Yeah, I still need the student of mine that does VTubers. She wanted to help me make one, or make one for me from one of my models. I have a model of me as a bear. I was thinking about using that. That's good, Tristan. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I used to work in AR. It was called a company called Cast AR, with a woman named Jerry from Valve Software. She left Valve and started her own company and Kickstarter, and did this AR with, I think we were talking about it last week or week before, where you wear glasses and the glasses have a projector above your eyes and they project down to a reflective screen and then reflect back to your glasses. Okay, for the collar, this is a fun thing to do in Nomad. So basically, I'm going to turn on clone and then just drag this up. Whoops, I'm cloning the wrong thing. I want to clone this. Let's reset that pivot though. Okay, and then clone, and then I'm just going to drag this up. And it's going to become our collar, but probably not in the way you think. Yeah, Tristan, I saw you streaming over in the Discord. I didn't mean to interrupt you there. You're always hanging out over there, and I appreciate it. I haven't seen Brad in there for a while. I hope he's doing all right. Okay, so this has, you can tell it has multi-resolution because of how the squares are drawn. If it's drawn like this, it's been voxel remeshed. Hey, Dark and Grim, how you doing? But if it's drawn like this is the main mesh, this darker line, and then subdivided down once is this one, and then subdivided down again is this one. So it's like, yeah, you can see them all. Okay, so with this is like a temporary piece of geometry that I want to curve. So I'm gonna use this move brush to just kind of curve it back like this. Bring this forward, just kind of make a curve. And then I think I'm just gonna trim it to make it look how I want it. But maybe, well, I want it to be consistent thickness. So I think I will do a mask extract first. So let's solo this. And we just want to kind of, we want that shape, that mask shape. So what we can do is use masking, and if you snap the camera, so if you start to rotate your camera and then you hold down shift, it will snap to an orthographic view, like the front view, like that. And to do masking like this, you kind of want the camera to be in orthographic, or you can push this button down here and it'll go to orthographic, but you want to be on a straight on shot of it. Then we can turn on masking here. And then actually I'm going to turn on masking, select mask. I think I need to add select mask to my brush list, because I want to access this polygon option. So you can draw a shape with polygons. So let me show you how to do it here. So I'm going to start here and draw out a line like this. And then you can click somewhere in the middle of the line and make another dot. And that'll start to make your shape. And so I'm going to pull this over here. And I can turn on a grid, and I believe it'll start to snap to that grid. Yep, see that? Snap, snap. I think this will snap as well. There we go. Then we can get it to snap right down the middle. And then I'll turn that snapping off, or the grid off, because I want it to just come up and be sharp like this. So to get sharp lines or sharp dots, you just click on it again, and it'll give you a black dot, which will be sharp like this. Signor, how are you? Welcome, welcome. And then I want these to not be sharp because I want them to kind of curve up a little bit like this. Something like that. Just a nice arc, And actually, this kind of comes down straight down here. So I'm going to pull this down like this. Let's turn snap on one more time. The grid. And the grid. There we go. Okay. Grateful you have the function in your Discord. It helps me to be accountable. Nice. I love it. So, Tristan, Discord is good, and I don't want you to move or stop doing what you're doing. I just wanted to let you know that in the community, there's also a live room, but I don't know if people can tell that you're live in there or not. So I think Discord is better because more people hang out over there. But I just wanted to let you know that there is that. Okay, so I'm going to hit validate, but I think the sphere underneath doesn't have enough subdivision levels. I think it's sitting at 6,000. So I'm going to subdivide it a couple more times. Let's go 1.5 mil on this thing. I just want enough polys that's going to hold and make a really clean mask. So let's hit validate. And there's our mask. See how clean it is. And now that we have that, we can extract it. So if we go back to the masking menu, you'll see this little shield up here. And it's kind of hidden. You can click on that and you can extract it. Here, let's kind of move it here. I'm going to make that polygon disappear. Okay, so here it is. And then you can just kind of click on height and just roll it up. And it's going to give it some thickness. Now this mesh is very dense. So that's why it's being slow. And I also have a mask on the back side. That's why I have two of them. Because when you use polygon, it'll shoot through both sides of the mesh. So that's why there's two. And then you can turn off smoothness and make it super sharp if you want. But then it'll introduce these kind of jaggedies. See these jaggedies right here? So I like to have smoothness on. Yeah, we'll just leave the iterations there. Sharp border. And then when you like this, if you like the thickness, you just click on extract. It does have these other options besides shell. And you can also split it off too, or carve it in, but we're going to extract it off of there. And it makes a new piece. And now we can select our temporary shape and hide it. Okay, I didn't mean to. So this is the shape that we currently have. Okay, let's clean it up now. We have the single thickness, But now what we can do is use trim. So I'm going to use this trim brush. Let's go to orthographic. And we're going to just trim this piece out. So now it's gone. And now we have this piece. And let's take a look at the face groups that it gave us. It looks like it has the same, let's turn off wireframe, has the same face group all the way around. But the face group menu has face group by normal, just like ZBrush does. So I can click on that and it'll open up this menu. Here, let's pin it so we can watch what it does. So see, it puts a new face group on the bottom here. It looks like it's actually putting one right there, and I don't want that one. And then it might even be putting one. I don't think it is. It's got the red, the green, but then there's, see this little guy? So what's cool is it's got a live preview on here. So see this angle? I can tweak that angle until it goes away. So maybe right there. So I still want these two, but not the third. And when I like it, then I hit this button normal right here. And now I have a face group on every side that I want. And then we can use quad remesher. I'm going to turn off relax. I want to use face groups. I'm going to turn off density and guides. And I want to keep symmetry. And let's do 10,000. We'll just hit it. Oh, you found it? Hey, Pensador. If that's how you say your name, welcome. How's it going? Why Nomad? I just like to switch, you know? There's some good things in Nomad, good things in ZBrush. I like them both. So I switch. So I'm going to do half and just see if it'll clean up a little bit. Yeah, it's got some weirdness happening. So I think I'm going to undo this because I don't need it to be quad remeshed. It's having a hard time dealing with these super pointy areas right here. So again, I think I'm just going to use voxel remesh right here, voxel, but use this keep sharp edges right here. Yeah, Tristan, I think that's the one that says live. You can just click the button and go live, and I think people will see that you're live in there and just join. But that room is open all the time. And it's just like our Sunday mentorship calls, but it's just open. So you can just hang out in there. So you can try it and see if somebody shows up. Okay, let's check out this density here. Turn the resolution down, because as long as you have keep sharp edges, it will try and do that. So we'll hit remesh and see what it gives us. There you go. It's all right. Looks like it kind of flubbed a little bit around the bottom here, but I don't know that I care too much. And what's cool about this being in quads is that I can subdivide it and it's not going to give me issues. So let me do it one more time. See if it does it better. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. So if I subdivide this once, and let's see if I got smooth on. I do. I'm going to turn that off. So now it looks like this. And now I can get my smooth brush and just kind of lightly smooth the edges out. Oops, I don't want to have it. I want to toggle it. That's too strong. Subdivide, and I should be able to smooth this out better, easier. I just want to smooth out these edges here. See if I can get it to do it. See, I'm trying to get rid of these chunkies. So I think I need to go more dense on the resolution here. That's okay. I probably took it too far. That's not bad. So Nomad does have relax. It has a relax instead of smooth. And that's the alternate version of this brush. Mr. Digital Works, how's it going? I love Nomad, and it is way more accessible. User interface and price. Yeah, it doesn't have all the bells and whistles, that's for sure, but it has enough, you know. So yeah, just so you can see what the mesh looks like. So now I'm going to try turning off keep sharp edges, and I'll build multi-res just one level, see what it does. And then I can turn this smooth shading back on, and it should look much better. Has a few little bumps, but for the most part, not bad. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay. Taking too long on the collar. Okay. Oops. All right. And I kind of want to go ahead and fill this with a darker color. The roughness is roughly, I like to go like half, like 0.5, just to start with. And then we can turn the color to, let's do like a purplish, like a dark purple. It still looks black. I know I keep saying this, but colors are the bane of my existence. Yeah, I think that goes the same for most people. Kind of messes with my eyes to keep looking up and then down again. Let's go like in here. I might have to, for the skin tone, you want to try and go for something medium. And then we'll just click on this head and probably the neck. Yeah, it's pretty dark. So let's make sure our environment, if you click on this sunshine icon, make sure your environment's set to 1, and that will brighten everything up to what it should be. It's like a thumb head. You stupid thumb head. Okay. And then we'll go grab this detail brush because it will pull it out towards us if we do the alternate of the brush like this. Try and have it selected. There we go. Helps if it's actually selected. That's a little too hot, so let's turn that down. Shows you the preview there. And we're just going to try and get his brows in here because I want to see the slope of his forehead is almost non-existent. So I want to get these brows in there just so I can have a reference point. Looks like I accidentally messed with the neck. That's okay. What I think I pinched the neck. Let's solo this. It's that's funny because I had the wrong tool selected, you know. So I'm just gonna go use this project and project it. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. I want to go. Nope, did it again. This way. No, this way. No, it doesn't matter which way you draw it. You have to hit flip. You need to see a doctor. What's wrong with you? Okay. And now see it's all pinched. We can just voxel that again. That'll get rid of that. Easy cheesy. Now we can take the move brush and pull it back. It's sometimes I get a little confused because I've set the alternate button for my brush to Z or Z on my keyboard. And the reason I did that is because you also use Z in the navigation of this program. So I kept going back and forth between, like I would accidentally toggle the negative of the brush, and it was driving me crazy, so I remapped it. But now I have to make my brain go, oh yeah, it's Z. Neil, that's a good point. Vampire's got a stake for a neck. He's already dead. Okay. I'm trying to decide if I want to insert a nose or just try and drag it out and shape it. I'm kind of tempted to just drag it out and just kind of just kind of sculpt it. Let's see. Again, I got to make sure I'm selected on the thing. Okay, that's kind of where his mouth is. And then this will go up in his nose here. See, because I can pull this out. It's a little too wide. And carefully pull this out. And if I turn on dynamic topology, it'll make new topology for me. So I'll show you what that looks like. See how this is starting to get stretched now? What I can do is, do you usually use Nomad for blocking things out? Not necessarily. I'll use ZBrush or Nomad. Yeah, it's just, Nomad is gaining in popularity, and I've been using Nomad for quite a while, so I just kind of want to show people how to use it. I actually did a full workshop. It was like 3.5 hours going all the way through Nomad from top to bottom. And I put that up for sale if you're interested. Neil can, well, the link's in the description, or Neil can post a link to Twitch. I'm streaming to both YouTube and Twitch today, but nothing else. Okay, so Dino Topo is here. Well, I've added it to my menu down here. So it works the same as Voxel Remesh, meaning if I adjust this slider, you can see this checkerboard pattern, and I can just crank that up. And then set the, this is the default, just leave it at that. And then I can use my smooth brush and just kind of smooth over this area, and it'll automatically create new topology. Just know that this topology is not quads, it's triangles. So as I drag this brush out, it's going to give me new triangles. Pinocchio, why are you lying? I need it to come straighter out here. You know, I guess Move Brush doesn't work with the Dino Topo, and that's okay. I'll just brush it with smooth and add it in there. Yeah, I think it works with drag, this brush, but not move. Just like ZBrush, essentially. Okay. Did you watch it, Mr. Digital Works? I don't know most people by their nicknames, so I'm guessing you're Paul, but maybe not. Tell me if I'm right. I hate how I have to wait 20 seconds to get an answer from YouTube. Just trying to carefully make that nostril appear. Just a hint. Yeah, I bought it. Also part of the 3D Character Workshop family. Nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That was a tricky one because usually I'm doing stuff like this, you know, like making a character and showing how to use the software with a character. But on that one, I want it to be more of a, I guess more of a technical manual, you know, like how to actually use Nomad from a technical side of things. And show everything that can be done with it. It's kind of like a dog and pony show, is what we used to call it in the industry. I think I'm going to crank this up. A little more resolution. There we go. Clean it on up. But I'm thinking about doing a 6-week. My wife doesn't like the word, but a cohort. She's like, "What is a cohort?" Sounds weird. But a cohort is basically a follow along where it's live like this, but doing an entire character and me explaining exactly what I'm doing the entire time, including artistic decisions that I'm doing. Usually when I live stream like this, I'm not really talking about artistic decisions. It's more just the technical side of things. No, like a cohort. Yeah, my wife's like, just call it an extended workshop. But C-O-H-O-R-T, cohort, yeah. Is that a word you guys are familiar with? I think I've only heard that word in the last couple of years. I didn't know what it was either. Yeah, Jay Hill, Pablo Munez Gomez, they all do cohorts. I I kind of did one for my students back in the day, but it wasn't advertised as such. It was just part of the course. It was I called it a live stream for students. It worked out pretty good, but I want to do one that's official, so it has like structure to it. So it's like for the next 6 weeks, 1 day a week, we'll all get together and sculpt a character, and I'm thinking about doing it in Nomad. I started to do that when I ran the, I tried School out. It's SKOOL. I tried that out. I tried it as a membership. It really didn't, I wasn't a fan of it. So I dropped it and went back to my old site. But when I was doing that, hold on a second, I gotta focus on this. I started to do this character in Nomad that was like a ranger, like an elf ranger. And I wanted to experiment with it. And I guess I shouldn't have experimented because I wanted to see if I could sculpt in pose. And it was an asymmetrical pose because you can do that in Nomad, but you have to keep everything in a hierarchy structure. And it kind of forces you to think a little too hard. So I think what I'm going to do is do that same character again, but do it the way I'm used to doing it, where I do a T pose first and then pose it after I'm done. Anyway, I'd love to know if any of you guys are interested in that, something like that, or if you have any other suggestions of the ways you like to learn, things you would like to see. I've thought about doing like mini workshops. So I did a workshop, a Nomad workshop that was just one day, but it went for 3 hours. I'm thinking about doing that for like anatomy parts, like the face or hands or something like that, or technical ones that are like how to render, how to pose, that kind of thing. Just very focused one-day workshops. I would find something like that useful and helpful since I started to notice what I changed the way I think something has improved the quality of my art a lot. Awesome. That'd be really beneficial. Sweet. Don't worry about it. Like I said, it takes ZBrush like 20, or not ZBrush, YouTube 20 seconds for me to even get your answer in the first place, so it doesn't matter. So I still have silhouette turned on, which is like it's like move infinite in ZBrush. I'm moving all the way through the model, not just behind my brush, but all the way behind my brush, which I'm kind of messing up all the lines I just did. Oh my gosh, the lips kill me. That's what I wanted to scope this guy for, was his lips, these duck lips. He's like smug in a duckish way. Yeah, he's like, You can kind of see him going. Okay, let's see. Let's get this cloth brush. Even though this is not cloth, this is more like a standard brush. Just kind of make that little valley. What's up, Lip Valley? The most common thing I hear people struggle with most is hands, hair, and faces. For me, I struggle a lot with making arms. Yeah, I get that. I think if I did a hand one, I'd also include the arms with it. I've been putting together these really fun PureRef pages with a lot of references, and I wanted to kind of go walk and talk through the references and like point out things I look for when I'm doing hands and kind of the rule book that I follow. You know, I did something like that earlier on, but I think I'd like to go into a little more depth with it. Let me see if I have one to show you. Oh, maybe if I just open PureRef. Yeah. Okay. So this is my PureRef page. So essentially, a collection from Pinterest. Yeah, just tons and tons of great. Studio Marco, how's it going? Thank you, sir. Ma'am, sorry. Sir, ma'am, I'm not sure. by nicknames, it could be anything, right? Anyway, these are great references. And some topology references, some 3D references. Yeah, really good stuff. Anyway, whoops. I would share this and then we would go over it together and talk about hands and yeah. What did I do to the neck? Man, I keep abusing this neck. Look at this now. What did it do? Oh, I wonder if it was I must have had my move silhouette on and hit that neck. Poor neck. Okay, let's let's solo it. We'll fix that up. Okay. There we go. Yeah, another vampire with no teeth. It just gummed him to death. Oh man. I see that too, and how actually to do the draw over and how to critique your own work. Exactly, Tristan. Yeah. Dude, I might bug you later about it if that's cool. But that's the cohort part of the cohort, which is feedback, and I like the idea of teaching you how to self critique. That's probably um, the most valuable, right? It's like looking at your art, trying to suss out what's wrong, fix it. Okay, I'm going to insert some ears. Mirror, validate. Have you ever heard of cursive knowledge? I think so, but maybe remind me how it goes. That's Zorble. Who's Zorble? Is that the character or the artist that made it? I'm not sure. I was just about to say that's the most valuable skill. Yeah, like self critiques. From Spiru's Adventures. Ah, I'll have to look that up. I just saw the nose and the lips, and I'm like, yep, gotta sculpt it. And how to go about looking for the information you need. Exactly. Yep. All good things. Yeah, I think part of it is taste too, and then knowing where to hunt that stuff down. Bad guy from Spiro's Adventures. Nice. I'll have to look that up. Is Spiro's Adventures, is that an anime? Sorry if I'm ignorant on that. I'm always looking for new anime to watch. I like this ear. It's pretty nice. A Belgian comic from the 40s. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. Man, speaking of Belgium, I got to reach out to my Belgian friend. I haven't heard from him forever. We have a super great Belgian waffle place around here. Super lucky to have it. It's ongoing though. Nice. So is it like a comic book or a comic strip or what is it? You know what? I have Google. I could just type it in. Let me see. Did I spell it right? Spirou. Got it. Okay, okay. You know, I had that in my head. So, okay. So it's kind of like Archie. It's like an Archie comic, but I'll just show you guys what it looks like. Cool stuff. Oh, yep, there we go. I can kind of see him right there. Nice. That way, if I wanted to, I could do his whole body. Look at that. His body's great. Look at those wings. That's super great. Okay. Gosh dang it. I keep minimizing Nomad instead of my... Curse of knowledge is when someone assumes the person listening has similar experience and understanding to them. Yes. So the talker would usually give information, assuming the listener knows more than that. Yep, more than they actually know. Right. That's a good... I didn't know that it had a name, but yeah, that's good. Makes sense. I try my hardest not to do that. But it's, yeah, it's kind of difficult. Okay, I'm not gonna add this little the whole thing as it is, but I do want to get this ear fold. Sorry, I moved my mic. Ugh. This confuses the listener. A good way to know if it is happening is if the listener says to the talker, "What do you mean?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. What you saying? So once you start to sculpt and then the mesh starts to fight you, like it doesn't quite roll with your brush, that's when you just voxel remesh it and get it to behave a little better, because then it just kind of evens out the topology. And then here, yeah, it's turned on. Just smooth it out. I don't know where those facets came from. I think it actually voxel remeshes the lowest resolution if you have multi-res. I know that's why you're one of my favorite mentors. Oh, thank you, man. Because you actually understand what you're talking about, not copying and pasting information. You get the underlying logic. Yeah, I try to do that. Like I try, honestly, when I'm teaching, I teach it as if I'm teaching a younger person, you know, that doesn't really understand everything that I'm trying to teach, and that helps a lot. But also not talk down to you either. You know, I've seen people do that, and it's like the worst. I'm not going to name names. But when they speak as if they know everything too, it's like that's not becoming. I don't know. I don't claim to know everything at all. I just know what I know, and I like to share it. I also really like to figure out workflows and share my workflows and figure out ways to simplify things so it's much easier to understand. And that's why I tend to like make my own brushes like this. I wasn't going to, but I ended up doing it anyway just to simplify things. And that's why my brushes are just a simple line, because then it shows the silhouette of what the brush actually does. I did that when I made my custom brushes for ZBrush a long time ago, just so you could see what it does and just kind of clean it up and simplify things. Thanks, man. Glad to hear it. I think I'm spending too much time on this ear, that's for sure. But hey, there it is. Thanks, man. This is funny. I think I want to make his ears kind of flap out a little bit more like this from the front, because it's funny. Funny is money. And then let's shape this a little bit better. It's got a very distinct shape. Flat on the top. And it's kind of a little round, and then it goes down to his earlobe. Yeah, I was trying to get this to be thinner. I don't know what you call this outer band. But when you go to 3D print stuff, you also want thickness. Jonathan, yes, I am. I will be. So what I'm trying to do with that, releasing them just with the workshop for now, is they're still kind of in beta. So I want people to test them out and let me know how they like them. So that's why they're not public just yet. But yes, I'm going to either I don't know what I'm going to do, but I may put them up for free, or I may charge a little bit for them. And the only reason I would charge for them is because I'm having a friend of mine, a pro concept artist, actually make these icons better. So if that's the case, if I end up using his art, then I will definitely have to compensate him for that and charge for the brushes a little bit. So these are kind of placeholder icons. Okay. Let's get the eye sockets in place. I don't know why I waited so long to put the eye sockets in there. What's interesting is with this move brush, the alternate of it is move along normals, which just means move along the direction that the surface is facing. So that means I can turn the camera any way I want to, like this, or even almost looking straight at it. And if I click and drag it, it's going to push it in or out the direction of the surface, which is super nice. Cool, keep my eye out. I'll likely get the course later anyway, but in case I can't, I thought I'd just ask. Yeah, for sure. Thanks for asking about it. Okay, so now we can get the eyes in there. Nomad has, so these bottom 8 brushes right here, these ship with Nomad, and these are the icons that they already have by default. And that's why I made these that kind of match those icons. So I don't know if I'll change them or not. If I do, I might even change these icons, but we'll see. Yeah, I've tried 3D Coat for sculpting. I love 3D Coat for retopology and UVs and hand painted textures, but I do not like it for sculpting. Whoops. Spot sphere. Because it uses a voxel based sculpting, and it's very fast, and I don't feel like I have the control that I need when I'm sculpting in there. Andrew, the developer, has added a lot of new features or newer in the last, I don't know, 5 or so years or more, that kind of help a lot with the surfacing, the feel of it, and it's getting a lot better, but it still doesn't feel right to me. Same with Blender. I just can't get into sculpting with Blender. And I know there's some people that have, and I don't know what it is. It's just there's a feel to it, and it just doesn't feel right to me yet. And the 3D Co interface is really, it monks with my brain, so I can't stay in there too long, or I get a little like, what am I doing? Where am I going? Okay, I'm putting this quad sphere, I'm gonna validate it, underneath the mirror modifier, so then it gets mirrored, so I don't have to add a new one every time. I'll just name this eyes, ears, and then what is this? Yeah, this one cool thing about Nomad is it has a hierarchy like this, like Maya. Blender is great for modeling, but sculpting feels cumbersome. Yeah, cumbersome is a good word. Too many extra steps. I've never gotten anywhere if not for Nomad. Yeah, and Blender is big, right? I mean, the price is right, don't get me wrong. But it's a whole suite of tools, right? And if it wasn't for programmers like Pablo DeBarro, like enhancing the sculpting in there, sculpting wasn't even in Blender for a long time until they made some revisions recently, and I think they've made some major strides in making it feel better. But it's just got some quirks. And for example, I'll just use one example. When you turn dynamic topology on, sorry, when I just looked at this guy, it reminded me of a guy from Mad Max, like the very first Mad Max movie. Anyway, what I was saying is when you turn dynamic topology on in Blender, it triangulates your whole entire mesh, and it just kind of breaks. It doesn't feel right. I have sculpted in there and been successful with it. I really like the loft along curves. It's kind of like the tube brush in here, but it's a little more powerful because I can have separate curves being lofted down the same curve, which is nice. You'll see on the art that's kind of side showing through right here. You'll see a girl with red hair, just her face, her head. That was done in Blender, the full, like 100%. So, yeah, I don't know how many images I have until that flips back over, but yeah, Nomad is just, it's a little more accessible price-wise and UI-wise. Like, it's just really simple, where ZBrush, you're kind of digging through menus to try and figure out what you want to do, and it's kind of difficult that way, you know? But man, does it have I mean, ZBrush was my first sculpting love, and I'll never, it just has all the tools, you know, it does everything you want, but you got to know where those tools are and how they work. It's a beast. And it's unlike any other program ever made. It wasn't even meant to be the software that it is today. It evolved due to companies asking the developer if he would do different things and add different things, mainly like Weta. You know, Weta was in the beginning. Weta was working on Lord of the Rings, and they first discovered ZBrush, and they're like, hey, we can do all this high-res surface detail with ZBrush. So so they added a lot of features that would actually get that high resolution detail out of ZBrush in the beginning. Yeah, 2.5D approach led to the modeling standard today. Exactly. So, um, yeah, it was the one program because of the way it was built. It was meant to be an illustration program that would add 3D elements, as that's why they're called tools, because those 3D elements were actually tools that you would build your illustration with, right? Hey, Ginger, how you doing, man? How is life, my friend? It feels fake and lower quality. What does, Tristan? Are you talking about Blender 3D Coat or Nomad? Sorry, we're talking about software. Let's build this up a little bit more. Doing great now. That's good. Me too. Bo, happy Thursday to you as well. Thanks for joining. Is the redhead the one you sculpted in Blender for Reallusion? No. I was that was me just experimenting with, like, could I use it for sculpting? Blender, it doesn't meet my quality check. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. ZBrush was a canvas with 3D lighting and render capabilities. I wonder who was the first to build a pipeline around it. I think it was Weta Signora. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they pressed them. I was just explaining why Blender doesn't feel right. Yeah. Yep, gotcha. Okay. Valid points about Blender. I'm still considering switching from ZBrush to Blender, utilizing geometry nodes and other tools. It kind of depends what you're after, right? Like what like Blender has its powers for sure, especially when it comes to hard surface modeling. It's got some really cool plugins and add-ons, I guess you call them. But for just organic sculpting, those sculpting tools, it's getting better and better all the time. But yeah, just the feel of it, it's not quite there when it comes to the feel of it. And I feel like Nomad is there for the most part. There's a few brushes like this is kind of getting away from me a little bit. I'm like, what the heck? Why is it moving so much? And so I just have to kind of tune it a little bit here. But what I really love about Nomad is the ability to render while I'm sculpting. So here, let me undo that. I'm not a fan of what's happening there. And you can do that in Blender as well, but it tends to take more resources when you do it. Let me see. Let me just open up Blender really quick. I'm on my own channel, so I can do that. I'll show you something that I was messing with in Blender. I like to render in Blender for sure. Blender render. You can make a full movie in it without needing to switch software. Blender is a definition of jack of all trades. Exactly. Okay. I don't know what this is. I have my own what's it called? This right here, my own plugin for Blender. Official. Yeah, it's kind of has a few ZBrush-like tools in it. This comes with my 3D Character Workshop, if you were to buy that. Anyway, it makes it so you can add custom meshes inside of sculpt mode, which is what these are, including a head, like a base head. And it has like delete and symmetrize it. It just kind of brings everything to the surface. Pose tools. This is the biggest kind of, I guess if it was a gripe, it would be my vent, is you can't move the gizmo around freely in sculpt mode. You can do it in edit mode, especially with the 3D cursor and stuff. It's just very, like somebody said, cumbersome. It's very cumbersome. It's not great. And what this attempts to do is it masks out your whole model so you can move the gizmo freely, and then you hit it again and it lets go. So that's kind of the workaround, but it's not great. And there's some retopo tools in here that are pretty nice. So anyway, what I was going to show you is I really like the polygon modeling in here with the modifiers to add thickness and stick to the surfaces and stuff like that. So to make clothes, it's really nice. Let's see. These are my old ones. Maybe this one. I haven't opened this for a while, so forgive me. No, this is a ZBrush model. So this is a render of one of my models here. Let's see, can I solidify? Might be this one. Yeah, it's this one. So this is one of my attempts at learning learning Blender. I was just kind of using these to go low poly and make some like just low poly hard surface stuff, which was pretty fun. But again, it was just kind of cumbersome. So, but see down here, I can have a reference image up here and then a render happening right here. So I can turn rendering on. It'll take a minute. And then I can look at the render down here. If it's small, if it's in a small window, it uses less resources. And I don't know why it's not popping up, but then I can work on it over here. Hey, Cricket, how are you doing? See, like this. So I can be working on it here and looking at it here. Okay. I'm not going to save that. I just wanted to show you guys. I wish someone made a course that is called Blender for ZBrush artists. Yeah, I've thought about that actually. In this course, if they can frequently say this tool is like this, and yeah. This guy. What's going on, Cricket? What's new? What's good? That's the Lion-O that originally stopped the course version for a while. It is. It is. If you guys don't know the story, I don't know if you guys care to know it. Yeah, the hair. I've been trying to think about how to do that. If I want to painstakingly do each little thing, or just kind of you know, like, what am I trying to say? Hint at that shape, and then put some little wispies to break up the silhouette. You know. But it doesn't exist. But I would definitely pay for a course when I see it. So if anyone capable of doing that. That's a guaranteed way to pay since people are trying to go to Blender from ZBrush. Yeah, I just wish the tools were a little bit better and the feel of it was a little bit better, you know. And I wish you could move the gizmo around. So like here in Nomad, for example, right? I select that. I have the head selected. If I show this gizmo and I want this is essentially sculpt mode, right? All the time I'm in sculpt mode. What I can do is see the pivot right here. I can just click on that pivot and I can move it anywhere I want. It just that I can't do that in Blender. I can't. That's impossible. So I have a workaround in my add-on, but it's still not great. I'm interested on how you solve it. I'd be dreading it a bit. Yeah. I mean, you can just kind of, what I do with hair typically is just kind of rough it out with just a sphere and just dragging shapes around, you know, to get the flow. And then I will it's kind of like focusing a camera. Then I'll kind of look for medium-sized clumps that are going that direction. like this big piece right here, this big curl, it's kind of a medium shape, and this curl's another shape. But the overall hair is like the largest shape, like this whole thing, including the wispies, is one. And so it's kind of like you're stepping down, like focusing a camera. It starts blurry, and then you focus it down. And then the last thing you add is a bunch of little wispies just to break up the silhouette there. Thought I'd try to throw, oh yeah. Only use Blender for retopology and texture painting and rendering. Yep. That's what I use 3D Coat for as well. Because you said a real problem that is buildable. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Okay. I want to let me show you. Let me just take a break for a second on moving forward with this. I just want to show you. Yep, right, Tristan. I know what you're talking about. Yep, the gizmo not moving in Blender. That's the thing. I don't think they see it as a problem because you can move it in edit mode, but then you're switching modes, and it's like an extra step. And every time there's an extra step, that means it's time. And time, if you're one little step to do this thing, isn't a big deal until it's a million times, right? Then it is a big deal. And you want to minimize those extra steps. Okay. What I was going to show you guys is you can render while you sculpt. So let's set up some lights really quick so it's a little more interesting to render in. So I have this guy, and this is just the basic environment, like this HDR image, and it's just set to 1 for the exposure. But what I can do is turn this to 0, and then now there's no lights in the scene. It's just black, right? So I can add a light, and here's one single light, and it's set to directional by default, right? And it's kind of low. Even though it's set in intensity 1, it's kind of low. So we can crank that intensity up. We can also color it a little bit if you want to, like bring it into the magenta area, just a tad, just barely to warm the whole thing up. Like this. And then I look at the shadow and how the shadow, like this nose is kind of a problem. So I don't want to cause too many deep shadows going all the way down his face. And then I like to let's turn perspective on. I like to stick it to the camera. So by default it's just stuck in space. So no matter where you rotate your guy, it's just stuck there. But if I get it into a position, like say like this, and then you can go click on these 3 dots and click on camera right here, that will lock the direction to the camera. That doesn't mean it's looking at the camera. That means it's just when you rotate the camera, the light stays stuck in relation to the camera like this, right? So now I can add another light. And I'd like to do a side light like this. We'll turn off the other one. Like this. And this is just kind of it's called a kicker or a filler. And this is just to add kind of a fun little opposing color. So like a vampire, we could maybe make it red or something. Just a little bit of a red. Something like that maybe. And again, I'll stick it to the camera. Okay, and then I just want it barely to fill this in and catch these edges like this. And then the last light I'll add is a hair light, typically. So I'll add this light, and I'll come in from the back like this. Been dealing with a huge amount of anxiety regarding the industry and imposter syndrome. No one can know everything, but right now it feels so overwhelming. Any thoughts? Yeah, I do have some thoughts, and I'm dealing with this a lot myself because a couple years ago, we were before this AI thing happened, and the industry and the layoffs and all that junk. It was a pretty good a pretty good time on raising Arizona. Like the guy said, it was the salad days, you know. But yeah, nowadays it's like I think we're caught in the middle of corporates and CEOs thinking that AI is going to be this cost saving cash cow, and it's not. It's not that at all. Um, I've been dabbling with it just to, it's like, keep your enemies closer kind of a thing. And because I want to know, you see all these ads showing pictures of what it can do, right? But they don't show what's happening under the hood. Because essentially what it's giving you is scan data. It looks like tons of triangles and it looks like a melted geometry, and it's very, you have to clean it up to use it for anything. And it's, it takes as much time to clean that up and make it usable as it does starting from scratch. So I was talking to somebody, I can't remember who, about it being kind of like, building a car versus restoring a car, right? If you're trying to get to the same, this is a showroom car, right? It takes the same amount of work to get to the same destination. So it's not the time savings that everybody thinks it is. And I actually think that it's getting in the way of new sculptors needing to go through, and I hate to say the word pain, but growing pains, I guess, because you need to learn all of this, the art rules to get your art looking great, It does help with kind of giving you ideas. Like, for example, sometimes I struggle with not knowing how cloth wrinkles can go or hair wrinkles can go. Not wrinkles, hair flow, right? Like how it flows across the head or down the body, especially when I have a concept that doesn't really detail that stuff. Sometimes I'll run it through something to just give me an idea of how I might be able to do it. And then I'll take that as an extra bit of reference and then just kind of stick it on my PureRef page with everything else and then go, okay, I'll try this out, So yeah, that I hope that helps. I don't see it as CEOs and these AI companies that are trying to sell their AI. I don't see it how they see it. I see it like, if I'm going to have to use this in production, it's going to take the exact same amount of work, if not more, to get to that same point, that restored car, right? Or that built car. So yeah, anyway, I don't see it going away anytime soon. I don't want new sculptors using it as a crutch to avoid learning the basics, I guess, And that's what I think is happening in schools and all that kind of stuff. Okay. But it's really good at giving you ideas and actual ways of making your art better, things that you might not have thought of on your own. It can give you more ideas about, different directions or ways you could take it. Okay, so see this little rim light? It's just got this little tiny hint of a thing. And with the rim light, I like to crank the intensity up a bit more to cover more area. But thanks for the question, by the way. I know it's tough when, the whole industry, half of the people are saying, get rid of it, I'm scared, I don't want this. And the other half's like, no, it's just a tool, blah, blah, blah. And I think it should and can be used as a tool if used carefully, but it's not going to be any replacement of anything that I can foresee anytime soon. You still need that human element. You still need taste. You can't create something from not like, as a human, you come up with your own ideas, right? But AI just kind of brings it in from all existing artwork that it can see, and it's trying to come up with something based off of that. So it's not going to come up with something essentially new, but more like something parallel to something that already exists. So, and it doesn't really have taste, I guess, in the sense that a human has taste. That's why it's good to use it as reference, because then you can tap into your own taste and pull out the bits that help you, but then move on from it and just, yeah, there you go. I could rant about it forever. Okay, so now we have this lighting. We can bring our other one back in. And this is all three of them together. So we kind of have the red on this side, the highlight up here, and the key light. But now we still have these dark shadows. So what do we do about that? Well, we can go in here, and remember we turned our exposure on our HDR image off. So now what we do is slowly roll that back up and fill in these shadows. See, to make them not dark. Like, whoop. Just kind of fill those in, because you don't want these harsh dark shadows rolling across your object. And then this also gives any reflective material. This is what's going to get reflected, is this image. So you want to have an environment in there to reflect, right? You don't want to turn this off and leave it off completely. You want to have it in there somewhat. But additional lights also help. Anyway, and then what you can do, and I don't recommend doing this while you're sculpting, but another thing you can do is turn on post-processing. You don't want to turn a bunch of it on, but like you can start to see, like if I turn on ambient occlusion, it's going to help put in those shadows, you know. I wouldn't necessarily turn this on while I'm sculpting because it gives me kind of a false depth of what it actually is. Hey Babu, how are you? What are your thoughts on people getting outraged for people posting, even trying AI out? It's almost like if you post an AI test on social media, you will get stunned or even blacklisted. Comics Legend, that's the thing that I think we're all caught in, right? I think everybody is secretly like poking the AI bear behind the scenes and not telling anybody about it for fear of getting blacklisted. And it's, you know, it's valid because it does feel like you're, you know, you run a horse shop and then the cars are coming, you know, you're just like, what am I supposed to do running a horse shop and there's Model Ts running down the road, you know? Yeah, there you go. Yep, Babu, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Yeah, AI can make GTA 6, but it will never be able to create the new bestseller, new hit, because all it can do is copy, not invent. There you go. Copy, not invent. That's a better way of saying it. It's partly because people are being naive to the actual real world damage AI is doing just by testing it. Yeah, that's true too, right? It's like, it's such a hard line, man. I mean, I live in Utah and they're talking about putting this ginormous data center in the north end of Utah. And it's just going to take so many resources to do that. And for what, you know? It just seems like this unnecessary scar. And I don't know what to think or yeah, it is very divisive. Because it's all true, you know, it is harmful. And it's affecting my course sales, you know. So it's like, how do I navigate that, right? I don't want to teach AI, you know. Oh gosh. You saw Martin Scorsese trying out AI and embracing it with his knowledge. It would be interesting to see what he would make. Yeah, yeah. As a director and you're like trying, it almost feels like in games, we would call it white boxing, where you would like rough out like a game level, right? And with using something like that, you can get iterations very, very quickly. before you spend all this time actually fleshing it out. And for things like that, maybe, but yeah, I don't know. Whatever you want, just know there'll always be someone who wants the opposite, and some people are really loud. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay, let's get. Sorry, I'm getting off on a rant. So let's center this, align it. Just want to push those eyes in a little bit more, but they're bigger. So what I like to do to make eyes larger is, instead of actually physically making them larger, is I'll just open up the eye opening more to reveal more of the eyeball underneath. And I think people will mostly realize they still need to learn fundamentals and can't just skip all of that with AI like they think. We just got to wait until the bubble bursts. I think you're right. Dude, the thing I'm afraid of the most, and I'm not the only one to say this, is I started to explain it, but I don't think it's a threat to senior artists. I think it's a threat to junior artists if they don't navigate it thoughtfully. Because I think out of the fear of the unknown, people are not going to get into the industry, because it's like, why should I learn this stuff if it's just going to be taken away from me? That's one thing. And then the other thing is, like, they're going to lean on it too much and not learn the basics. So then when it gets to being senior level, they're not going to know the underlying, skill set. So for junior artists, I would just navigate it carefully, I guess. But I don't think you shouldn't do it because of the fear. That's the biggest thing that's driving me crazy right now, is like just that fear. The fear of the unknown, like what's going to happen. And it's pretty disheartening, to be honest. I've read an article that Hasbro, Mattel, and others have an AI department for their products now. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything like that too much. Fundamentals are the most important thing to an artist, not a computer. Yes. I think the important thing is sticking to what is true. If AI can be truthful, it can be safe and ethical to use, but is nowhere near that yet. Yep. The important thing is making sure your own work is truthful. That will matter in the long term. Just ignore the short term fear. Yeah, I mean, I wish I could shout that from the mountaintops, right? But just hopefully I'm just waiting for it all to settle down, My thing with AI is that it's based on stolen labor power. The AI companies just stole basically everything humanity's ever come up with and compensated no one. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, and I don't know if it's possible, but I'm like, could you set up a model that's more like Spotify, where, it like takes bits of, people can feed this big like AI scrape base, I guess you would call it, with the fact that they would get compensated if AI uses their stuff. But I only see it working like paying out pennies, because it only uses like bits and pieces, tiny little pieces of. It doesn't use like enough of a majority of a piece of art to copy it to give to you, But I don't know how that would work. But I don't know. It creates a sense of hopelessness and puts them into a desperation state because they don't see another option. Yeah. Everything I say, this is just one part of the market. Hey, Sammy. How you doing? Company stole our hardware. That's another part of it. It's like, hey, I'm trying to build my computer for a decent price, and it's all inflated because it's being used for other stuff like AI. That part of it is not great. Sorry, you guys got me talking and not so much sculpting, but it's a good conversation to have. It's hard to know what to feel about it, you know? I mean, it is and it isn't. Because it's like you can't put the genie back in the bottle kind of a thing. But if it just ends up like not being return on investment, because it's not making any money right now. So I think that's the thing that would pop the bubble, is if it's just like not making the money they thought it would, then why keep doing it, kind of a thing. Because you've got all these like investors waiting for the promise of it, you know, all the big promises. And then they'll realize exactly what it is and that it's and what it's not. And hopefully go, oh crap, this isn't what you promised us, and that would pop the bubble, you know? It is a Pandora's box. Looks like Real Illusion now has some AI features. Have you been able to try those out? I haven't, but one of my students has. And yeah, I'm not sure. And like Lychee has also added some AI stuff. Those I definitely don't agree with, where it's like put in your prompt, get a model and animate it or print it with none of your own input. I'm like, why? You know? It's just gonna, that to me is AI slop, right? It's like no input of yours whatsoever other than the prompt, and that's nothing. Yeah, could you speed that up, gingerbread? I called you gingerbread. Ginger bear. Not my buttons. Real Illusion's AI tool is mostly just a render, and what I've seen. Oh yeah. You set up your scene in iClone and then use AI to render. Yeah, I've seen that. You guys tried out Real Illusion Rig tool. It's so incredible. I have. It's great. A lot of people accidentally say gingerbread. That's what's in my brain. Like you can make so many poses quickly. Yeah. AI prompters are proud that they know how to order food from McDonald's. Yeah, pretty much. I've seen some pretty good memes about that. Okay, Nomad has a really good Dino Topo tool. So basically, what I can turn this on, and it's like Sculptris Pro and ZBrush. And we can crank this up a little bit more. And then when I use it on the surface, it will add geometry as I go. That's the whole point of dynamic topology. It dynamically adds more geometry. That means you can get more detail where you want it and not where you don't. And there's a good, it's got good pinch brush, but you want to usually turn dynamic topology off when you're using the pinch brush, or else it's just kind of fighting against you. Yeah, so you can keep it pretty clean. Pretty clean. But yeah, that's a long-winded, this is my stance. This channel I'm listening to on Spotify. keeps playing a lot of Huey Lewis in the News, which I haven't listened to for a long time. It's pretty good stuff. This will date me, but it reminds me of when going to school back in the 80s. Huey Lewis. This is like when Back to the Future, you know, and when Huey Lewis was big, and they have a song called "I Want a New Drug," you know, but it wasn't really like drug related songs, you know, like they painted it as. It was more of a love song, but students at my school got the T-shirts at the concerts and then decided to wear them to middle school, you know. I want a new drug. And they're just like, what? Go change. Jace, are you using iPad or desktop version? I'm using the desktop version right now. I actually prefer the iPad version because I can navigate with my left fingers while sculpting with my right. And I have the latest Apple Pencil, which has barrel roll, so I can spin my brush and get some curves that are really nice. Like when I get to doing these hairs back here, I could like use that to twist and curve them, which is super nice and fun. It kind of reminds me of VR in a way. In fact, if you go to, I really liked Adobe Modeler for that. Like you could hold your model in your left hand, or opposite if you're left-handed, but you could hold it in one hand and sculpt in the other, which is kind of like when you're painting a minifigure or something like that, where you're holding the mini in one hand and painting it in the other. It feels very, very natural, you know? In here, it's almost like you're looking through a window and there's a control offset. But there's a guy named Mistella in the Nomad forums who is working on just a simple little fun app where you can use your VR controllers, but you look at a 2D screen. You don't have your headset on. You just sculpt kind of out in front of you with the controllers, and it's pretty wild. I like it a lot. Okay. And for those of you that are just joining us, I do have a full Nomad workshop that I recently did. If you go to 3dcharacterworkshop.com/Nomad, the link's in the description. You can check that out. I did it live in the first place, and now it's the recording is up. If you want, it's like 3.5 hours long, where I take you through all of Nomad and what it can do. And thanks, Neil. Okay. Let me show you this tube tool for the eyelashes. It's really fun. So the tube tool, you can, I like using the path better than the curve, but you can just draw across the surface like this, and then it'll snap to the surface. You just push this green dot or this validate right here, and then it'll make a tube like this. And I'm going to turn snap back on, so it'll snap to the surface. I'm going to turn it back off so I can just move it out in space. And I can just go to my outliner, and you can take it and put it underneath this repeater like this, and then it'll mirror it across the center. And then I can start to tune it. So this orange button makes it grow in thickness, but I can hit the radius again, and it'll give me 1 at each end. So now I can go from thin up here to thick at this end, like this. but I don't want it shaped like a round tube. I want it shaped a little bit more like eyelashes. So I can go into this profile window right here, and it turns it into a square. And then I can just kind of start to make it look like eyelashes instead of a box. So let's zoom out a little bit. You can add more of these. So something like this. And then it will, then you have to spin it so it faces the right way. So you can turn on twist, and it'll give you this little pink handle, and you can spin it around like this. I think that's a little too feminine for these eyelashes, but we'll fix it here. Also, you can show the profile in the viewport right here, or you can turn it off. If you show it, you can actually edit it in the viewport. But we're going to pull this down just so they're kind of stumpy eyelashes. I think learning how to package content is something that could be a useful skill to learn. Oh, like in an actual production kind of a workflow? Is that what you're talking about? I'm going to add a second knot there. Okay, and then we can make this a little bit bigger. Okay. And then once we're done, we'll grab the paint, and I'm going to eyedrop this black, and then we'll fill this. But I want it to be duller, so I'm going to crank the roughness up like this. Oh, he's got eyelashes. Pretty funny. Okay, and I can make another one down on the bottom there. But I think what I want to do first is kind of color him. Just give him some redness, because we're almost done here for this. I want to make his eyelashes a little straighter. Okay, and then use this detail brush to kind of bring these eyebrows up. I want to go like this, and kind of I'm basically making the bottom of the brow right there, and it kind of hooks and curls around like this, which is really fun. In general, because I know when I'm looking for something, I have a checklist of things that I expect to be there. A good example is, you know how when people are hiring artists, they need to see, like, so you're talking about like a list of what to put in your portfolio? Or a list of like things you should show in your portfolio that you know how to do? Okay, I think that's good enough. I'm gonna do I think I'm gonna do a mask extract for this one. Let's do dynamic topology and just kind of flood fill that a little bit. Wireframes, beauty shots, clay renders, those are all needed for a game developer who is looking for an artist may need to see. Oh yeah, gotcha. Yep. So for the workshop that I want to do, I think what I'm going to do is just take it to final render. I'm not going to take it to game mesh or 3D printed mesh, because I think that would take too long. I just want to work on teaching people how to see, how to make appealing characters, and how to match the concept. That's my main goal. That's my my lane where I like to help people the most, you know? Yeah, getting too technical with it, I tend to I feel like I can't keep up on all the technologies that are out there and keep up with everything that I need to know in order to teach it, you know? Because the workflows change so often, and companies also change workflows between companies. Seeing as you worked on the original, what are your thoughts on the remaster of Toy Story 3? I think it's awesome. Complete edition. And did you get contacted to work on it again? I didn't. I didn't even know it was a thing. But I'm super excited, and I'm glad that more people are going to be able to play it. Honestly, that was my favorite game to work on. It was so fun. I felt like a game developer on that game. Because I was an animator, not a modeler. And so if any of you have played it, there's a, you know, the little binoculars guy that walks around on his little feet and he's got those googly eyes. You find that, and you can get these little missions, these little side missions, to look through those binoculars and put these little scenes together. Like it'll say, gather this, 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 and this, and put them here. And if you do that, if you go gather, like there's these little people, they're like little Fisher Price people. And if you go like put the 4 barbers in front of the barber shop and then take a picture, it'll play this little, it's like a music box, right? They'll do this little dance and song and have these little special effects and animations. And it was up to me to go gather those characters, gather the music, put the camera in the right spot, and make that little thing play. So I had like a long list of those little things that I would have to make work. I was speaking in terms of when we make something, we have to have clear person in mind that we're making this for. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I saw that recently somebody said it's not good enough to just have an overlying goal, like I want to get a job in the industry. It's better if you can like dig down into that a little bit more and say what industry, like games, film, medical, you know, what industry specifically, and then like what exactly you want to do, like stylized or realistic, or like, or what company specifically you want to work for, and you can kind of target that and make your portfolio kind of target that. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Man, those are some thick eyebrows. Let's tame those suckers. Okay. Something like that, maybe. Extract skincoloredeyebrows.com. It's not intuitive, not commonly spoken. It's not specific enough. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just kind of a rough goal rather than a specific goal. I'm with you. He looks like Dracula, the biology teacher. Let's see, I'll just save this. All right, you guys, I think I'm gonna wrap this up for today. I wish I would have gotten to the at least messing with the hair, but I'll save that for another day. But let's see. I always like to see how I did. We'll kind of put this, I know the top of his head's a little too high. Let me fix that first, actually. Let's look at some big movements here. Maybe pull that down. And then the back of his head kind of drops off faster. Okay, so then we can kind of move this into place. Maybe like that. It's still too high, I know. Okay. And you can actually lock the camera from spinning by clicking on this lock right here. That'll lock it. So I can move it and I can scale it, but I can't. Oh, look at the light stick. Oh, wow. That's crazy. What happens if I unlock it? Wow, that's crazy. Okay. Well, I'm not going to move it. Okay, let's lock it. I need to tell the developer about that. I'm going to turn these lights off and just use exposure for now, I think. See, it just kind of flattens it out when you don't have real lights in there. And then if you go to the image, you can go to transform and move it around. You can kind of move it behind him and scale. You can use control to scale it. It does kind of look like Sean Connery. Yep. Sean Connery. Okay, why is the image moving? Oh, that just feels weird. Okay, there we go. Man, that lock is broken. It was like scaling with the image and everything. Weird. Okay. Okay, not bad, not bad. I think his nose can go up more. But as far as like his lips to his chin, that's pretty good, I think. His nose, I have it a little too skinny and too long. Need to shorten it, fatten it. Let's turn this a little bit. I'm just looking at how far his brow's sticking out. And his ear. I think I got that ear okay. Probably a little too big. Yeah, and with this image too, you can come in here and go, whoops, image, and change the overlay back and forth. So you can kind of stick it right there and then match his eyes up. So see, I got his mouth just a little bit too low. There's the original, there's mine. Looks like the ear is a little too big and too low, and his neck is still too thick. I got to thin that out. So, yeah, all good things. And it's okay to do that every once in a while. Just check it. And you probably saw me moving it around and rotating it. And I'm not trying to match it one for one right over the top, getting the angle and all that stuff, you know, because that'll mess your model up. Don't do that. Just kind of use it as a guide, because that's what it is. It's a concept. It's a guide. So don't go putting it over there and trying to match it one to one, because 2D artists they don't always get the perspective exact, you know, and then you'll just end up fighting it. So you don't want to do that either. Okay, it does look like Sean Connery, like from this angle right here. Bring me a scotch. All right. Yeah. Sean Connery on Jeopardy. Come and shit on my lap. Oh, but I'm going to be canceled for that now. All right, you guys. Yeah, there can be only one. Canceled. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. One more time, I have a Nomad workshop if you're interested. I've lowered the price down from when I did it live. You can check that out. It ships with my free brushes. Well, free. They're part of that. My brushes are part of that. And that's what you've been seeing me use all day today. If you want access to those, they're in that workshop, and it's about 3.5 hour workshop where I go through the Nomad from start to finish, everything that you need to know about it and how it works and all that. So, and I also have a mentorship. If you're interested in a mentorship, just you can go to 3dcharacterworkshop.com. there's a contact. You can click on that, send me an email and say, hey, I'm interested in the mentorship, or through Discord. I have some seats open right now. So if you want a mentor, reach out to me. All right, you guys. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Thanks, Neil. Thanks, everybody. We'll see ya.